If you live in a modern city, you know the exhaustion, the 2-hour commute, the endless highway stretching into a distant, sprawling suburb. Planners call this paralysis gray inertia. The root cause of this gridlock is a fragmented postcode lottery. Across the country, developers and homeowners have to navigate 1,175 different local zoning rulebooks. What is legal to build changes from one side of the street to the other. It is a system built on a culture of permission. Every new project faces a gauntlet of subjective character reviews, neighborhood complaints, and a slow death by 1,000 bureaucratic cuts. When every new building requires a block-by-block political negotiation, you do not get a functional city. You engineer a housing shortage, inflate land prices, and force the entire population to rely on cars just to survive. The Aotearoa Planning Bill 2025 replaces that fragmented system with a single, centralized framework for the entire country. It draws on the structural DNA of Japan's 1974 land use law to shift the country toward a culture of adherence. In a culture of adherence, the government establishes a single set of national standardized zones. If your building design meets the mathematical dimensions of that zone, you earn permitted activity status automatically. No local debate, no subjective hearings. By swapping political arguments for rigid math, the system guarantees a predictable outcome. Planners and developers can finally deliver housing at an industrial scale. To understand how this law shapes the landscape, we have to look at urban hydraulic pressure. As a city center grows, rising land values act like a piston, pushing the working population outward into cheaper, unserviced rural areas. This diagram shows the structural solution, the urban dam. On the right, the urbanization control area prohibits new residential development to protect agricultural soil. On the left, the urbanization promoting area is a 10-year growth reservoir prioritizing public investments in streets, sewage, and high-capacity transit. Drawing this hard, unmoving line destroys the incentive for speculative land banking on the rural fringe. With nowhere to leak, investment capital is forced directly back into the fully serviced urban core. Inside that urban reservoir, the law enforces a doctrine known as infrastructure determinism. This is a strict legal rule requiring a neighborhood's housing density to match the frequency of its public transit. On a Category 1 rapid rail spine, the code mandates 6-story minimums with hard-shell soft-core courtyards to block noise. On a Category 2 bus corridor, it requires a 3-story minimum and a 30-km/h speed limit. Tying building heights to transit capacity prevents unserviced sprawl. It ensures that when taxpayers spend billions of dollars on rail, there is an actual population living above ground to use it. Mandating 6-story buildings next to every train station raises an immediate concern. How do you stop these new transit corridors from becoming harsh, unlivable concrete jungles? The new framework solves this with the 3-30-300 rule. This treats nature as a non-negotiable public health requirement known as green utility. The metrics are precise. Every building must see 3 trees, 30% neighborhood canopy cover, a public park within 300 meters. To keep those trees alive surrounded by dense pavement, the code mandates connected soil volumes. This is an underground engineering standard that links root systems together beneath the sidewalks to ensure their survival. Reclassifying nature as biological infrastructure ensures psychological restoration and cooling are built into the DNA of the densest zones. When you step away from the high-rise transit spines and walk into a low-rise residential neighborhood, the scale of the city changes. Here, the law tackles urban loneliness through a mechanism called narrow-range mixed use. This allows specific types of small businesses to operate in residential areas, creating communal gathering spaces known as third places. The rules automatically permit low-impact commercial shops under 150 square meters, like local cafes, hair salons, and classic corner dairies, to open directly on residential intersections. Because these specific uses are granted as-of-right status, a local barista or shop owner doesn't have to hire lawyers or survive a subjective council vote to open their doors. Legalizing small commerce by default brings dormant dormitory suburbs back to life. It weaves social glue back into the neighborhood, making it possible to run daily errands entirely on foot. When you zoom out, you see how all these mechanical parts form a single, complete ecosystem. You wake up in a quiet, low-rise residential zone. You walk out your front door, grab a coffee at the corner cafe, stroll under a thick canopy of mandated street trees, and board a high-frequency train on the main transit spine. The Aotearoa Planning Bill 2025 uses national mathematical codes to clear the subjective hurdles that once blocked local life. It provides the legal certainty needed to build a city that is vibrant, walkable, and designed for the people who live there.